Have you ever felt like part of you wants to relax and enjoy life, while another part keeps pushing to get more done? Or maybe you want to set boundaries, but another part is terrified of disappointing people. That's not just overthinking, that's your inner world at work. Inside you are different parts, each with their own voice, fears, and desires. And healing is not about managing, silencing, ignoring any of them, but it's about listening and really getting to understand who is there and why. But why would you do that? Why would you learn how to do that? There are many really good reasons, and I've experienced them firsthand in my own life. You might want to do that so that you can turn that harsh critic and self-doubt into self-compassion and confidence, or so that you can start enjoying spending time with yourself and your loved ones, or so that you can start feeling truly alive rather than living on the sidelines. So that's what internal family systems, or IFS, is all about. And in this video, I'm going to break it down in the simplest way possible so that by the end, you will start seeing your inner world in a whole new way. So let's dive in. Most of us think that we have just one personality, one single self. But inside, we have different parts and they act a little bit like a family. Sometimes they get along, other times they want different things, they fight, they ignore each other, they get into very silly arguments, or they get sad, withdrawn, and all the things in between. For example, it might have happened to you that a part of you wanted to get out with friends and have fun, while another part just wanted to stay home and rest. So what are these parts? Let's break them down. We have managers, the ones trying to keep everything under control. So you can imagine the inner critic that says, this is not enough. You need to do better than this. You should know better than this. Actually, you should have figured this out a very long time ago. The perfectionist that won't let you relax until you have done everything perfectly. Or the planner that is working really, really, really hard to make sure that everything is sorted out. Then you have firefighters, the ones who react when things feel overwhelming and things get a little too much. For example, the part that reaches for junk food when stressed, or the part that doom scrolls or binge watches Netflix, or the impulsive side that wants a quick escape. And I'm sure that you know what I'm talking about. Every person has its own ways. Mine was definitely the way of Netflix and the way of binge eating. And then are the exiles, the parts that we try to ignore in a very human way to avoid pain, but carry deep wounds and very hurtful beliefs about themselves and other people and the world at large. It's the part that remembers being bullied in childhood and being completely helpless. It's the part that still fears rejection from loved ones, and it's the part that is holding a feeling of shame just for the way that it is. But here's the most important component about IFS. You are not just your parts. You are much more than that. You're much more than any single part. There is something much deeper, and that's what IFS calls the self. And then it can be called in many different ways. It can be your true self, your higher self. It can be your inner wisdom, or it can be your soul. It can be whatever you call this place inside of you, which is a place of being. It is a place of calm, of connection. It is a place where there is no judgmentality, because when you are connected, when you are in a place of calm, of compassion, and of curiosity, there is just naturally no space for judgmentality. It is a place of being, while most parts come from a place of doing. So it might have happened to you to have a moment where everything felt clear, where you just knew what to do, you knew what was right for you. Well, that's yourself showing up. So if this self is this wise and calm leader, this presence, this essence that is inside of all of us? How do we actually connect with it? And that's the heartbeat. Because to be very honest with you, I connected to myself the first time when I was 34 years old. And if you told me beforehand that this thing existed inside of me, that I had a place inside of me from which I would just feel worthy because I exist, from where I could feel love and compassion for myself, I would have not understood what they were talking about. So that was really a revelation. It was a mind-blowing moment when I could actually feel that place inside of me, and when I could feel this worthiness, this intrinsic sense of self-love and being lovable. So this is exactly what we're going to explore in this series of videos. We're going to explore the different components of IFS, but in a way that is very clear why that matter. What does that do in your life? What does that change in your life? And we're going to find different ways to connect to your sense of self, to your essence, so that it can lead the way. And you can imagine of IFS, of the internal system, as an orchestra. Each part of you is like a different instrument. Some are loud, some are soft, some are out of tune, and some are actually not there at all, even though they really should. So when there's no conductor, the music is chaotic. One instrument takes over while others get drowned out. But when the conductor, your self-energy, steps in, everything finds its place. The music just starts flowing. And that is exactly what happens when you can connect to yourself, to the energy that is naturally there, mostly buried underneath many other layers of protection. And like musicians who have found their rhythm under a skilled conductors, then your parts can start to be more in harmony with each other and with you. So now that you know the basics, let's go deeper. In the next video, we will break down the 3 main types of parts in more detail, exactly what they do in your life, how they kind of steer the wheel into one direction or the other, so you can start recognizing them in your own life. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. What's one part that you recognize? Is that the inner critic, the people pleaser? I'm so curious to know.